Hello, today we are going to work with the simple present, a good job, unit 2 of the book. So you need to have the book at hand or you can work in the through the video like now. So these are the first two pages of unit 2. Let's begin. Look at these people. What are their jobs? This is Andrew Johnson. And this is Claudia Luke. What are their jobs? Just think, speculate about their jobs. Don't look at anything, don't read anything. Just imagine, look at their faces. What are their jobs? How old are they? Are they married, single? Speculate. Stop the video to think and then start again for the answers. Andrew Johnson is an engineer and Claudia is a zoologist. He's an engineer and works in an oil rig. And Claudia works in the Mojave Desert. Now, let's have a look at Andrew's life. Andrew, 30, is an engineer. He comes from New Zealand, but now he lives in Scotland. He works on an oil rig 440 kilometers from the coast of Aberdeen. He works 12 hours a day for 2 weeks and then he has 2 weeks holiday. He earns £200 a day. In his free time, he goes to the gym and plays snooker. He isn't married. Let's think about Claudia. Claudia, 41, is American. She's a zoologist and she teaches at a university. She lives in California and works with her husband Jim at the research center in the Mojave Desert, where she studies snakes and other animals. She likes working in the desert. In her free time, she writes songs and walks her dog, Brewer. She earns about £60,000 a year. Now, let's answer some. Let's see if you remember their information. Stop the video before getting the answer of a question. Here is the first question. How old is he? Stop the video to think and you'll get the answer when you play back. He is 30. Where's he from? Stop the video to think. He's from New Zealand. Is he married? Stop the video to think. No, he isn't. Where does he live? In Scotland. Now, let's answer about Claudia. Is Claudia from New Zealand? No, she isn't. She's American. Where does she work? In the Mojave Desert and the university. Is she an engineer too? No, she isn't. She's a teacher and zoologist. Good. This is for general understanding. Now, let's read the text again and mark all the verbs that are not is or the verb to be. This is Andrew's text. And this is Claudia's text. Before checking your answers, underline and mark the verbs. Stop the video. So, comes, lives, works, has, earns, goes, plays. The verbs here are teaches, lives, studies, likes, writes, and walks. Earns too. So notice these are all actions, these are all verbs that are talking about he or she. Yes, this is talking about Andrew. All the verbs that are not is have an S. And this is talking about Claudia. All the verbs have an S. This is what they have in common. Why? We'll soon see that, but for now, remember, all the verbs that is not the verb to be take an S for he, she, it. I say, he comes from New Zealand. I come from Argentina. Only he or she takes an S, not the other persons. I come, you come, he comes, she comes. Or he lives in Scotland. I live in Argentina. We live in Argentina, but he lives in Scotland. Claudia lives in California, the USA. We live here in Argentina. Andrew works in an oil rig. Claudia works in a research center and university because she teaches. I work at Utrecht. I teach at Utrecht. She studies snakes and other animals. I study neuroscience. He has 2 weeks holiday. I have 1 month holiday. She likes working in the desert. I like working at Utrecht. So notice only the persons he, she, and it. It is not here now, but we will use it. Take an S in the simple present. Now, why do we use the simple present? The simple present is used to talk about habits and routines or general states. So let's see these verbs in the texts. Which ones express habits and routines and which ones express general states? Let's see habits and routines. He works in an oil rig every day. That's a habit. It's part of his everyday life. He goes to the gym. He plays snooker. She teaches at university. These are habits, things they usually do. They're routines. She studies snakes and other animals. She writes stories for children. She walks her dog, Brewer. Now, let's have a look at the general states. He comes from New Zealand. She comes from the USA. I come from Argentina. This is not an action. This is not a routine, a habit, but it's a state. It's what it is. And the same with the rest of the verbs. He lives in Scotland. She lives in the US. I live here. She has a dog. I have 2 cats and a dog. Have is the only verb that changes when we write the S of the third person and is has. She likes working in the university. I like working at Utrecht too. She earns $60,000 a year. I earn, don't know, $60,000 a year, say. So, now let's complete the following sentences about Andrew and Claudia. Remember, he or she take an S in the verb. Look at the sentences. Stop the video and then you will get the results. Think. Now here are the answers. Correct yourself. Stop the video and check yourselves. Now, this is the homework for our online session next week. Read the fact files about Darcy Bassel and write complete sentences. Yes, for example, Darcy Bassel, ballet dancer, and model. So we say she is a ballet dancer and a model. Country, what verbs are we using for country? For example, come. So she comes from London, England. So think about the verb to use. For example, for country, come. For home now, live. For place of work, work. For languages, speak. For family, the verb to be or depends or have. Free time, and there we have the verb. So write these sentences, complete sentences about Darcy Bassel. Write them down, we'll correct in class. The same activity with David Guetta, and you will complete the sentences. Yes? Like, first think, what verb do I need to write the sentences? Remember, job, the verb to be, country, come, home, live, place of work, work, languages, speak, family, the verb to be or have, and the free time, we have the activities. So, I hope you got the message clear. We will discuss this in our next class. See you then.